Hello guys. Yeah, sure, Mux, we can do one. Wait, I accepted, didn't I? Failed. What? Alright, let me try and just invite you then. Can't even see you anymore. Wait. In party? What the fuck is happening here? It says we're in party. You know what? I'm just gonna restart, I guess. Or relock. Maybe this doesn't even work, but... I'm gonna decline. I'm just gonna leave party here. And then you will just invite. I think it glitched because we invited each other at the same time. I'll just let you invite me. Okay. Looks good this time. Hopefully the queue won't be too long, but looks like the duo queue can be pretty long at times. Okay, that was pretty fast. It's like the fastest queue I've had in a while. One went on top 100. Nice, man. I don't even know... I don't think I can see myself still. I'm pretty sure I am 100, but I can't see myself on the list anyway, for some reason. Hey, Albie, good to see you, man. Let's see. I want to put on some music for once. But I don't really have a good, like, stream music playlist. My own stuff is generally just like soft rock, and it's just kind of depressing. But I like listening to it, but it's not really great stream music. I got a shit ton of anime music, but that's very varied in genre, so... let's see. Fuck it. I'll just throw the usual shit on. What am I playing? I feel like I haven't tryharded in a little while. Maybe it's time to pull out a Chaka or Hades. That does give some ammo for the Morgan, though. I am really feeling Chuck, though. Yeah, fuck it. I'll play some Chuck. While I do love playing mages, I do feel slightly fatigued on a lot of them at the moment. Because it's all that's actually good to play. Hey Dutch, good to see you, man.
Shock! I am the hand of justice. Shock! Shock!
I still hate this skin. I don't like it. It just looks wrong.
Shock! I am the hand of justice.
I'll use this one for once. I wish the hammer wasn't as big. It's just too obscuring. Wait, what is that? Is that gonna be Morgan ADC? Neath mid and Uber solo? Could be solo Morgan, but if it is, that's gonna be a pretty easy matchup for me at least. Once I have an item or two.
How wonderful.
I played a little bit of ranked earlier today, just on my own, but I still feel rusty for some reason. Just tired today. But I suppose there's nothing new in that. It's just my daily life at this point. Hey Neo, good to see you, dude. I'm doing pretty well. I'm in a good mood today. Just a bit tired, I guess, but that's it. I've been playing some Ninja Gaiden 2. Never really played them. But since the remake came out, like last week or whatever, as a shadow drop, I decided to try it out. I'm having a pretty decent time with it. I've been missing just a straight action game, so I decided to try it. Yeah, I like it. It's not perfect, like you can still feel the age, but like it is nice. I do like it.
First blood.
Nasty invasion, it looks like.
Another day will rise.
Minions have spawned. Godly wrath.
Yeah, it's definitely a classic for sure. And like, I remember playing it very, very vaguely as a kid. So I was like, sure, why not? Let me give it a shot. I don't know what the fuck happened back then. I played it when I was like 5. I didn't know what the fuck was up and down at the time, so. Okay. I'm definitely looking forward to patch finally. I'm so tired of seeing the same stuff right now. Especially because the last few gods that has come out haven't been that good. Looking at something like Vulcan. I guess Agni as well. A lot of mages just aren't great, but the ones that are great are just broken. Looking at Morgan and Hades and, well, Anubis, I guess. Even though he's not as great in comp situations. Still just so broken in ranked. How is he level 4? I guess he didn't share the smalls on.
Enemy missing middle.
An ally has been slain.
Kind of wish it was just Morgan.
Be careful left. Enemy missing middle.
Feel the sting of my
An enemy has been slain.
Not sure why Neith showed up, to be honest. Don't think they could ever really kill me as long as my ult is still up. Alright, let's finish. Actually, can I? Okay, I can. I'm still not sure I like Serrated, but I feel like on Chuck specifically just feels better than something else. Like I tried Jotun's, I feel like that felt kind of bad. Even though if the cooldown is still nice though, but still kind of felt off.
Enemy missing left. Godly wrath. Storm. An ally has been slain. Godly wrath. Godly wrath. Shimmering radiance.
I should have gone Brawlers first, now that I think about it. I'm against fucking Anubis.
Godly wrath.
Not going Brawlers feels like a mistake.
Shimmering radiance.
Dude, they're so coordinated and grouped on the enemy team. It's happening.
Godly wrath. An ally has been slain. Enemy missing left. Godly wrath. Shimmering radiance. To the face. Enemy missing right.
Enemy spotted.
Attack. To the face. To the face.
That's unfortunate. Should probably just save my axe to get over the wall, but
An enemy
we did get
has
her
been
beast at
slain.
least. And now she died, so that's good.
Enemy
Your
missing
left
left.
tower
Be careful
is under
middle.
attack.
Godly wrath. Godly wrath. Wait. Face. You have slain an enemy.
You are impressive.
Thanks. Be glory. Wait.
Enemy missing middle.
Alright, let's see. Trans, get that. Now I'm looking at it, this is kind of just a delayed Uller build. But I guess it's just any ability-based physical damage dealer kind of builds this. Fairly down? Wait, is
Thanks.
Rustin Jar
Be
Fairly
careful right.
an alt in Smite 2? Is this main? Oh, I had no idea.
An ally has been slain. Godly wrath. Shimmering radiance. Face.
Gotta chill a bit. He actually hurts quite a bit now.
The pyro.
This matchup will go less and less in my favor if I try to go for the traits without just poking, I guess. I don't want to take a full one to the face. Not anymore.
Godly wrath. Face. Godly wrath.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Face.
How much is this? It's okay.
Face. An enemy has been slain. Godly wrath. Shimmering radiance. Godly wrath.
Enemy missing
Godly
middle.
wrath.
Be careful left.
I hate that Hector tried to fight it. If Anubis rotated, we would have been dead either way. And I didn't have CDs to really help him out at the time. That sucks, man. I don't think I should have died for this. That's so tragic.
Your left tower is under attack.
Hey, another. Good to see you, man. Unfortunate. Didn't also realize how fat Nemesis was.
On my way.
Your left tower is under attack.
Holy Ra.
Be right back.
We're really ulting? Cool now.
On my way.
Holy Ra. Holy Ra.
Hello, Seagull. Good to see you.
Your middle tower is under attack. An enemy has been slain.
Bit of a snooze fest being against Anubis. Though I could say the same for Chuck, so. Pretty boring lane overall. I do need to get brawlers, otherwise I'm honest just
Tower is
making
under
this much
attack.
worse for myself.
Holy Ra.
Yeah, I mean,
Enemy missing right. Holy Ra.
You have slain an enemy.
Holy Ra.
I wonder if I have enough damage to kill a tower here. Maybe. No one comes at least.
Enemy tower.
Let's see if I can gank the Morgan before I leave completely.
Gank.
Shall be
Well,
cleansed.
if he turns into that, I should be good.
An ally has been slain. Killing spree.
What happened?
I'm just getting brawlers now. Bye, Heartseeker.
Holy Ra.
Your team has destroyed a right enemy tower.
I'm coming left.
Attack the Gold Fury. Enemies in left lane. Be careful left. Enemy missing
You have slain an enemy.
Stay alert.
Your team has destroyed the gold sword. An enemy has been slain.
I am ready.
An ally has been slain.
Here's a direct hit.
Come out. Fate is sealed.
Keep them guessing.
Should have run the other way, I guess, to my team. Bit optimistic. See, hoping I could get away from that.
Sting of my desire.
I could have thrown my shit better though. We did go a little too deep for a Yamoja, but also, why the fuck did Nim come from that angle? It's kind of unfortunate too. Yeah, we need to shut down this nemesis.
Your left tower is under attack. Godly Rod. Your left tower is under attack. Your middle tower is under attack. Godly Rod. Rampage.
Damn, well done. Killing Anubis on Danza is not, I would say, in his favor, so good job.
I'll attack left lane.
No one comes, I get tier 2. I'm just gonna go for it. Heck of a Phoenix, actually. Anubis is up soon, but
Godly Rod.
nah, ain't happening.
Godly Rod. On my way.
Like, surely this is good for us.
Shut down.
You have slain an enemy.
I should have pressed alt much earlier.
Middle enemy tower.
I really wanted to save it.
Godly Rod.
Be right back.
That's tragic.
Killing spree. An enemy has been slain.
Shut down.
An enemy has been slain.
Attack Fire Giant.
Godly Rod.
Set up an ambush
Be right
here.
back. Be right back.
I don't want to take this risk. I don't have healing, so
Yes, a little
It's not really a great trade if I end up dying for something.
Godly wrath.
Guess I'll defend mid while Moix is taking my solo.
Godly wrath. Shimmering radiance. On my way.
No problem.
Grip up. Godly wrath. Fame and glory. Godly wrath. Godly wrath.
Your middle tower is under attack. An enemy has been slain.
Godly wrath. Fire giant. Grip up. Godly wrath.
Stay alert.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Stay alert. Not as soft as it looks.
Killing spree. An enemy has been slain. Your middle tower is under attack.
Behold, him just
No, I'm being pushed in. What the fuck, minions? I was outside.
You have slain an enemy. Shut down. Your right tower is under attack. Your middle tower is under attack.
Godly wrath.
Your right tower is under attack. An enemy has been
You will
slain.
never be free of us.
Godly wrath.
Your right tower is under attack.
tease. Let my alone the sting of my desire.
Surely we'll catch him. Ow.
But who will haunt your
Fire giant.
Wait!
Godly wrath.
Your fate is sealed! A
An
god!
enemy has been slain. The enemy team has destroyed
Yeah.
the fire giant. Double kill.
Kind of expected,
Killing spree.
Retreat.
but oh well. I think only Yamoji got it. What a messy fight. We definitely fumbled that so much. Should've just stayed on fire, but it's tough when our ADC died. Should've just gotten a kill and then gotten back out. Also, I am noticing that my bitrate on Twitch is very unhappy, so I tried something new, taking it up a bit. I'm gonna take it down real fast, in case the stream ends up really underperforming. Let me just go back to what I was at. There we go. I don't want the stream to end up shitting itself. It seems very unhappy on Twitch at the moment, so feel free to let me know if something looks off. I heard that Twitch finally upped the bitrate, so I decided to put it up a bit, but
Your team has destroyed
never mind, I
the
guess.
Gold Fury.
because it seems to look fine on OBS, but Does this give them
Your
vision?
team has destroyed
Is that a
right
cheating
enemy
minion?
tower.
I suppose I'll stick around for this up here. Not really much we can do since we didn't actually get fire.
Godly wrath. On my way.
Your team has destroyed the Pyromancer.
Godly wrath.
They might have a ward here. It's either that or he's lucky.
Ward here.
Let's find out they do.
Godly wrath.
Interesting. Didn't even realize he was behind us.
Be right back.
Godly wrath.
Come and get me.
Shivering radiance.
Killing spree.
Wonderful.
Destroyed a middle enemy tower. You have slain an enemy. Killing spree. Your team has
Out,
destroyed a
run.
middle enemy Phoenix.
Attack the right lane.
An enemy has been slain.
Attack the Titan.
Since we killed Morgan again, we probably can end, so... Fuck it.
An enemy has been slain.
I was not a part of ending that. Good job, team. Well done.
Victory.
My team actually warded a whole lot. Love to see it. That rarely happens. I always feel like I have the most wards by a long shot. Alright. If anyone wants a duo queue, I'm down. Moix had to leave. You could only do one, so... Otherwise, I'll just solo queue. Another clinic. I feel like it wasn't really on me. My team just kind of clapped. Herc being Herc, and that was about it, I guess. Their Neith also seemed slightly confused, if I had to be honest. She wasn't doing a whole lot. Granted, it is also a Neith into a Hercules Chuck, so what can you really do? Surely I have some different music somewhere. How about this? Maybe this is better. Yeah, I'll go for some different style music for now. I'm getting a little tired of using the same playlist. You know, while I have music, I guess I can't. I was about to just remove Smudge music because it's a lot of music right now in my ears. They got a Herc, so maybe I go for an auto attacker of some kind. I need Vamana, man. Where's Vamana? Hi, Vexel. Good to see you. Maybe I just do Hades. If it's a tank or a like squishy Herc, being Hades into it should be pretty easy. Oh no, their comp. I hate it. Jack Kirk Sobek. Rough. Dude, our comp can't do anything if Chag and Hercules plays this well. We're cooked. Actually, no, I need confidence. We're gonna win this. 1000%.
Hades.
Yeah, they're gonna surrender in 10 minutes. You're right. I believe in it. You were done, right, Max? You only wanted to do one? I assume that's why you weren't in the party. Yeah, I feel like we're kind of getting out matchmaked here. Yeah, we'll see, Malice. We'll see. On paper, I think you guys have this one, but we'll see what happens. I don't really know who my top pick is. I don't think I recognize the name. Dude, I want Blink so bad, but not having beads into their comp is gonna be a nightmare. No, I'm just still doing it. It's all or nothing, boys. It's all or nothing. Yeah, no worries, Mux. All good. That's not nice. Who is? Does anyone know who Hated Unicorn is? Is it he was my top elo. I'm still I wouldn't say low, I guess, but I'm still in 4K, so like I'm not deity in any way. What am I against? Chalk. Oh, that was my Herc from last game. Hopefully he goes full damage, because if he does, it's gonna be so easy for me to kill. I just have to be careful not to get too poked.
Minions have spawned.
It's unicorn. Some people said it was Smurf, but no.
Enemy
Okay,
spotted.
we'll see then. You don't really want to box here, buddy. It's not a good idea. I have friends. This server does feel a bit bad. I can feel my autos being delayed. At least I'm playing Hades, but that still sucks. That's not what I want in ranked, ever. Bad servers, why? It's just a newer player, fair enough. I suppose we'll see what happens then. I mean, at least he is playing that new one. Let's see if he is invading or not. Doesn't look like it. First blood on Thana on the Hercules is probably our best case scenario. Wait a second. Is he on his blue now? He is. Dude, I always forget how fat that wall is. You can just exactly reach outside of it.
An enemy has been slain. Your middle tower is under attack.
Could be really good if I hit 5 first. I completely forgot this playlist has Ariana Grande songs in it. Oh, I didn't TP in. Yeah, I'll say it. She's got some good songs. He hit 5.
Enemy missing middle.
Your left tower is under
I actually didn't plan on streaming today, because I feel like I wasn't really in the mood, but then I realized the new patch is gonna come tomorrow, which will definitely change some things. Not much, I think. Mages is still gonna be OP as fucking solo, but I imagine it will change some things. So I want to just...
tower is under attack.
I want to play a bit.
Enemy missing middle.
I do plan on streaming tomorrow, though. If I can find the time. Why are you wasting everything on me? Go away. What is he building?
Enemy missing middle.
Wait, is he just going for the build I went with before? Surely not. What is that item? A Reaper? That's double lifesteal. the fuck item is that? Let's see if I can yoink these real fast. Nope, I cannot.
Enemy missing middle.
Your middle tower is under attack. An ally has been slain.
We need wards. Enemy missing middle.
Your left tower is under attack.
Oh, this lane.
An enemy has been slain.
It's kind of slow. Guess I'll just farm. I mean, this works for me. But these two play kind of the same, to be honest. Especially with a full damage chuck. You're just waiting for late game so you get a teamfight monster.
Has been slain.
I want to see if I can start rotating a bit though. Once I finish my shit. What the fuck?
Enemies in right lane.
Random ass Sopic.
Enemy missing right.
I mean, if this guy said he's silver and he wants to gank my lane right now, I am not trusting it. Let's see. Yeah. He's just gonna ult out of it. I don't waste my ult. It's not worth it. This fucking cake song. I forgot I had this cake song on my playlist. I made this playlist like fucking 10 years ago. Some of these songs I haven't heard since. I really need to back. Oh my god. Don't press 3, man. Would have done the same. Needs to fucking stay for the wave now. It is a nostalgic playlist for sure, yeah. I feel like I made it when I was a teenager, but that's not the case. I'm not that old. What am I thinking even? I want to try Chronos Pendant on Hades. I do not think you need it at all.
Enemy missing right. Be careful middle.
And it might just be not good, because generally I feel like you just want power. You want to be a monster. You just want a one-shot when you finally use your combo.
That's too bad.
But I kind of like Chronos Pendant lately. Where's the life bind on Hades? Do people do that? I just don't think he needs anything like that. You just want to one-shot stuff. Oh, I see you. You know, I don't actually want to be here if you're there. You're 2 levels lower than me, Mouse, but I'd rather not deal with our Hercules if I can avoid it right now. It's not a good time. 100%? What the fuck? Nah, I don't like the sound of it.
Defend the gold
I don't.
fury.
Enemy missing left.
Wait, Rampage? The only person that kills with kills in our team is the Thanatos.
Be careful.
That's nice. I think I was wrong about the server lag. I'm not feeling it at all now. It's really weird. It felt terrible in the beginning. But I'm not complaining if it's fixed.
An enemy has been slain.
Yeah, you don't have any healing now, buddy. You went with the aspect. Let's see, I think I can kill him here.
An enemy has been slain. Nice job.
He might just back though.
On my way.
Is this up? It's not up.
Shut down. Too bad.
Be careful right. Enemy missing middle.
This doesn't really look good. Cupid is alone.
An ally
Yeah, I
has
can't even
been
help.
slain.
Your wave is going into tower, buddy.
Defend the gold fury. Cancel that.
I think I should be alright. Still bubbling up if I really needed it.
On my way. I'll gank left
Yeah, no, Herc is definitely a menace at the moment, so I understand your plight. I think we all kind of don't enjoy Hercules at the moment, or to be against him to be more specific. I think he's just an insanely good jungler. I don't think he's that good in solo. I think he's good in solo for sure. But he's such a good jungler. He's so scary. Oh, this playlist has Justin Bieber in it. Oh. It is old.
An enemy has been slain. Enemy missing. Enemy
No
missing.
problem.
Right.
I should really just back and buy my stuff. Yeah, I'm back.
An enemy has been slain.
No soul? You mean soul gem?
Destroyed an enemy tower.
I don't think it's bad, but I've kind of grown away from it on a lot of mages. Like, if they don't need the lifesteal, I usually don't go for it. And Hades heals so much even without the lifesteal, so I tend to just not go for it. I still enjoy it though. It's decent still. I don't like the amount of power that it lost. Okay, it's blink and ult. I'll take it.
Enemy ultimate down. An enemy has been slain.
I didn't get the assist. Blasphemy. Oh.
Enemy missing. Attack the Gold Fury!
Song is 10 years old. It is, and that's when I put it on the list when it was new and hot. I haven't heard this playlist in like, I don't know, I guess like 8 years or something like that. And the very beginning of this playlist, I don't think I ever heard since I put the songs on. Because this playlist was the first playlist that I made on my Spotify.
Destroy the right enemy tower.
I saw Hurt go
Your
down.
team has destroyed the Gold Fury.
It might be on our red. Let's see. He did. Tragic. No, come to me! I don't have dash!
An ally has been slain.
I did get him, but that sucks. If Thana just went to me, it would have been so much easier to save him. This isn't really a worth trade either. I was 4 levels higher than this Hercules, but I think he got the kill. He somehow got the kill as well as me killing him. But yeah, right now I'm just trying the Chronos Pendant here. Like, I think Soul Gem is still really nice. Like, I've said it on the stream before, I think Soul Gem gives you everything you want as a mage. But I tend to not prioritize it very much over something like Chronos Pendant if I don't need the lifesteal. Like, if I'm playing Vulcan, I'm not gonna go lifesteal, you know? Something like that. On Hades, I think there is definitely a high reason to go for something like Soul Gem. Like, I go for it on Anubis. I think he's one of the gods I would always go for it. On Hades, I think it's more of a choice. And in this case, I am just kind of trying the Chronos Pendant, because I've been liking it a lot lately, and that is getting buffed, so I think I will like it even more next patch.
Enemy missing right.
Hi.
Attack left lane.
Some low cooldowns on Hades is kind of nice though. I do like that. It just feels good. I got a hellbot
Your
mid.
left tower is under attack.
Unless nothing is happening, then I'm just taking their blue.
Your left tower is under attack.
Attack fire giant.
Your team has destroyed the pyromancer.
Dude, when this album originally released, it was like prime Ed Sheeran. That shit was some good stuff. Haven't really heard him much since, to be honest. But this album specifically was so good.
I'll gank left lane. On my way.
Attack left lane.
Enemy missing.
Yes. Attack the gold fury.
I'm a little afraid they're gonna go fire here.
Your middle tower is under attack.
I'll defend the fire giant.
Your team has destroyed the gold fury.
Enemies on
Right
a
back.
fire giant.
Man, I didn't fucking see her and I didn't get the chance to blink. But yeah, that goal call was such a fucking risk. I am so sad that Herc was just suddenly behind us. Absolutely tragic vision we had. What have I just witnessed? That's good though. Alright, well done. I don't think they're getting fire now.
Shut down.
Nice job.
You gotta get out, man. Herc is gonna absolutely cook your ass.
Double kill.
Now they can do fire again.
Deicide.
I guess they might not be doing it though.
Your middle tower is under attack. Your right tower is under attack.
I mean, unless the Chaka and the Herc is... Yeah, they're not okay. Good.
Your middle tower is under attack. Your right tower is under attack. Your middle tower is destroyed. The pyromancer has arrived. You have slain an enemy. It is not possible.
Yeah, our vision has been terrible. I gotta start warding more, because I haven't seen much of my team doing it around mid. If it wasn't for Herc straight up wanting me from behind, that fight I legitimately think would have been in our favor anyway.
Slain an enemy.
Like, right there is what should have happened.
You are
Killing spree.
No, Thana!
attack fire.
On my way.
Attack fire giant.
I can control the fights at this point in time, so... fine.
Your team has destroyed the fire giant. Your team has destroyed the pyromancer. Your team has destroyed a right enemy tower. Your team has destroyed a middle enemy tower. Your team has destroyed a middle enemy tower.
Attack the gold fury.
Your left tower is under attack.
Actually, what do I want last? Oh, fuck it. I'm just gonna bite the bullet. Let's get a soul gem last. Like, realistically, I should be going for, like, Dreamer's Idol, but...
Your left tower is under attack. Your team has destroyed the gold fury.
I gotta get more used to using Dreamer's Idol. Because it is really damn powerful.
Attack left lane.
Shut down.
Bit sloppy. Probably didn't even need to ult.
Your team has destroyed a left enemy tower. An enemy has been slain. Your team has destroyed a left enemy phoenix. Your team has destroyed a middle enemy phoenix. Your team has destroyed a right enemy phoenix.
We definitely need a pick before we can look for the end. And some waves in. I have an idea. I wonder if this will work. I need somebody to pluck, otherwise I'm not doing this. I live. Maybe. I live. It worked. Yes. It worked out.
Victory.
It almost didn't though, because they had Aegis and Blinks and shit. Yeah, I guess Malice was right. So we kept arguing, yeah. I had an interesting Zeus to deal with last night for me. I'm not sure anyone has triggered me as much as he did in a long time. I'm glad I wasn't streaming, because I was not myself when he threw a specific comment at me. Not proud of last night. I do feel like a lot of people that do argue, like often people are good, like they're both good, but one is just maybe having a bad game, which then just results in I don't know, a weird argument where people just telling each other that they suck. Might have told them to on a live. Yeah, no, it's normally I'd be like, yeah, I mean I get it, but you shouldn't say stuff like that. But my behavior from last night wasn't good either. I didn't say anything like bad, I guess. I was just being kind of an asshole, taking my anger out on someone else, even though he started it. For the record. No stab left to ban me. Damn. I guess I can't actually say that. Fenrir. I actually rather people play Herc than Fenrir. Yeah, I know people said he's like a new spammer. I think that's fine, but it's no. I want to play Rom. It's definitely sometimes very noticeable when people only play a single thing, and when they don't get that thing, they're severely worse. But again, I mean, you can't really force people to play something else if they don't want to, so. Oh my god, I am extremely sweaty for some fucking reason. Give me a second, I'm gonna change some clothes. Be right back. Alright. Applying for high risk so we can ban whoever I like. I'm not sure that's a great idea. I think you might get fired pretty fast. Omari, hello. Welcome. Debt Collector Grom. It's a funny name. Dude, I don't even know what to pick here because I want to go Aegis because otherwise Fenrir's gonna one-shot me with his annoying ass Brutalize. And if I don't go B, it's just gonna eat me instead. This is what you call a nightmare.
Tasty.
Go Aegis and buy beats, but that requires me to go tanky, and that wasn't my plan. I am absolutely full Glass Cannon Ra, otherwise I don't feel like playing him, because I'm so tired of playing tank Ra. It is the most boring shit in existence. That shit was so broken for so long, I don't ever want to see it again. And I'm starting to feel the same way about Hades. The thing is, though, I do really enjoy Hades. I did not enjoy Tank Raw. I thought it was boring. It was fun like twice, and then I was like, fuck that. It's so boring. Question is, do I proxy? I am against the Vulcan. Don't think I have the chance to proxy. What? No. What are the chances?
Missing middle.
Oh, well, this server feels like shit, just like the last one. Is it gonna get better? Hopefully. Otherwise, it's gonna be a shit rock game. He started with a turret? What? Oh, this server feels really bad. Oh no. Oh my god. This feels much worse than the last one.
Too bad.
Oh, that's so close. Just gotta pray that the server gets better, because this really does not feel good. It might just be because I'm playing rounds that are Hades, and Hades for some reason doesn't feel that bad, even on a bad, on a bad server. But
Classic. Just a fucking classic, isn't it?
That's too bad. Down upon you.
I love junglers, man. I fucking love them.
Down upon you.
I do think this is a good matchup for me overall, though. Especially if he is gonna go for power rather than tankiness, then this is a very good matchup for me. No, it blocked my auto. I blame the lag, you know? I blame the lag. Otherwise I would have killed him, for sure. Everyone knows it. I'm fucking dead. And Fenrir was there. Why wouldn't he be? Where's Mathana? He's level 3. Fuck. Oh, Vexel, huh? Of course he would be here too. I'm still ahead at least.
An ally has been slain. Shut down. Your middle tower is under attack. Down upon you.
I'm cooked. I'm absolutely cooked.
I mean, just kill me. On guard.
Enemy missing middle.
Killer, 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 killer.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I can't fight him if he lands the ult. His ult is a bit easier to land than mine.
An enemy has been slain.
Let's go.
Down upon you.
It's the setback and farm strategy, I
blink.
suppose.
I'm just gonna leave you alone, man, to be honest.
Completed. Bathe in the heat bears down upon you.
I'm still feeling a
Nathan
bit of
up.
delay.
He ulted me. He ulted me.
Maybe this one won't go away. Yeah, losing is part of the game. It definitely is, but yeah, it feels overwhelming at times for sure. And I think everyone kind of agrees that Smite 2's matchmaking has been inadequate, to say the least. What the fuck, minions? Oh my god. Everyone's going wrong. Everything is going wrong.
Killing spree.
Okay, Thana's coming up big. Love to see it. Why, man? Fucking god, man. I'm so tired of Fenrir as well. This god requires so little skill to utilize. I am so tired of it. I need Hades nerfed. I need Fenrir nerfed. I need... what else? Herc? Well, I don't know. Herc is pretty new. I feel like I'm not as pissed as at Herc, but he is really annoying. Should have won Aegis? I guess so. That's the thing.
No way.
Why? I want to see it. Broadlance probably does like 500
Guys, we can
damage
kill
right
the
now.
M1 cooldown.
Then you
Just
add
so
a
you
red
guys know.
buff to the mix as well. It's so annoying how much damage it does. And it's been nerfed like 3 fucking times. Next patch for sure, guys. Then Fenrir is bad. You just went for mine instead.
An ally has been slain.
We have such a bad comp into Fenrir as well. Honor has no chance, Ra has no chance, well, Nuwa and Thana does, but Thana silence I think is pretty easy to bait out. Because Fenrir's ability to box is also just insanely good. So we can just box him until he silences and then brutalizes. And he's here. Why wouldn't he be? Yep. I turned! I swear it was the lag, guys. I
kinda
turned!
Like, oh, my Tana just left me alone.
Good game.
I need to start banning Fenrir. But I'm never banning, so
Your left tower is under attack.
don't think I can do it anyway. I kind of asked for this. They picked Fenrir, then I picked Ra, so... I can't really complain that much about it. But I think I have to go for some kind of defense, whether I want to or not. It's not really a choice at this point.
Enemy missing right. Careful left.
Enemy missing middle.
The heat bears down upon you.
The lag is really pissing me off though. That's probably the worst part about this whole match.
Careful.
An enemy has been slain.
I mean, I could rotate, but can I even make a difference? Fuck it. I don't want to push towers.
Your left tower is under attack. An ally has been slain.
Look, blink.
Another
Down upon you.
Tragic. Fucking tragic, man. I would definitely be a bit more confident in my ability to do something if it wasn't for the weird delays and everything that I do. Right now my issue is I'm not sure I can flick anything. Just gonna have to rely on snipes and hope they hit. Yeah, I really wish they would bring back ping as well. I'm tired of not being able to see my ping. I want to know how bad it is right now, because it feels like 150 plus.
Be more jump.
Retreat! Be careful left!
You see there, the
Coconut
beam is
blink, by the way.
delayed. It literally just lagged. It feels just like that. It's so annoying. Like, the closest I've been to quitting Smite 2 was when I kept getting laggy servers like this, because it's so unfun to me. So I do apologize if I'm complaining about it too much, but it pisses me the fuck off. I hate laggy servers more than anything. Just lag, I guess, in general. Lagging in games is the fucking worst. He walked this way.
An ally has been slain.
Okay. Enjoy yourself.
How did that hit me? I'm out.
Down upon you.
Yam knows, by the way.
An ally has been slain. Rampage down upon you. Shut down. Your left
I think we have a chance, but that's because I have teammates that I can trust.
Your middle tower
Like,
is under
Nate's good, Studni's good, I think the Swift guy is pretty good as well. I mean, this guy knows how to play Nuwa, so...
I don't know if you can, to be honest. Just farm. They have a Kukul, can just farm.
Is this a tank Vulcan? I still forgot to check. It is. Okay. That's fine. He's gonna be absolutely useless late game. I do not care about that. Should I have gone Aegis though? Yes. 1000 fucking %. Should I have gone Aegis? Because they also have Vulcan. And Kukulkan. Tragic. I have to concentrate so hard on trying to hit just my beam. It's really, really annoying. What do I do actually? I think I'm doing Helm of Darkness just for Moja. The stealth is nice, but I'm building it specifically so I can go through playmate walls. Because it's just a matter of time before I get locked in.
Be careful.
Be right back!
Be right back.
I just backed. It's unfortunate.
The enemy team has destroyed the Gold Fury.
Yeah, like he's hitting his stuff, he just doesn't do a whole lot of damage as Tank Vulcan. He's reaching a lot because of the goddamn passive on the aspect though. And there it is. Not a single call on that. Unfortunate. Guess I need to warp myself again. Surely we knew someone was coming, right? Right?
Okay.
Your middle tower is under attack. Your right tower is under
It's too
attack.
much shit to ban.
The enemy team has destroyed the Pyromancer. Your right tower is under attack.
Okay. Bathe the glow.
Your middle tower is under attack.
They're on fucking fire?
Enemy team
Oh
has
my
destroyed
fucking god.
the fire giant.
Good game.
They literally have every single corner warded, and we don't have almost any wards. So it's kinda GG.
I mean, I'm lagging as well, like fuck, so I'm having a shit time.
Bathe the glow. The heat bears down upon you.
I mean, not gonna lie, I don't think the legs are gonna help. Without legs, are gonna help against the 3-man gank. So it's just
Your right tower
unfortunate.
is under attack.
TMD.
Yeah, my lane would have been much easier if I wasn't lagging. I could actually win it.
An ally has been slain.
Enemy missing middle.
The glow.
Could be beats.
Down upon you.
Enemy missing middle. Be careful left.
Your left tower is under attack.
Ow, dude, I was not in it! Surely!
Ally has
I was
been
not in
slain.
it! I
Your
call
left
bullshit.
tower is under attack.
I think it's time to surrender this one. I just want to play a different game. Get me out.
Your left
If I
tower
get another bad server, I'm just fucking out. Harris can take their backs and pack them. Actually, I guess I'm the one packing my backs. So tired of these bad servers. That's pretty much what's ruining Smite 2 for me. It was never this bad in Smite 1.
killing spree.
Song does not fit my mood right now. I'm so pissed.
An ally has been slain. An ally has been slain. Your left tower is under attack. Your right tower is under attack. The enemy team has destroyed the Gold Fury. The Pyromancer has arrived. Your right tower is under attack.
Bathe the glow.
Your middle tower is under attack. Your middle tower has been destroyed.
The heat bears down upon you.
As Nate said as well, if I wasn't lagging, it probably wouldn't make a huge difference. But I think I would have killed Vulcan at least once, I think, if I wasn't lagging, because I could just control the fights a bit better.
The enemy team has destroyed
Hit
the
my autos a
Pyromancer.
bit easier as well.
The heat bears down upon you. Bathe the glow.
Like, so far, they're not pushing.
Enemy missing.
Not really sure what they're doing with that fire giant.
Bathe
Careful left. Retreat left lane. Retreat.
down upon you. On my way. Retreat.
If I get far enough in, all I need is one big snipe to be useful in these team fights, so...
Bathe in the glow.
Your left tower is under attack.
Bathe in the glow. Bathe in the glow. Enemies at the fire giant.
No way, man. It went down so fast. Oh, okay, I didn't see.
Double kill. Rampage.
Okay. Wait, is Thanos just FK?
Your middle tower is under attack. Your team has destroyed a left enemy middle tower has been destroyed. Your middle phoenix is under attack. Your middle phoenix has been destroyed. The Pyromant has arrived. Your right tower is under attack.
Actually, what even made it go down so fast?
Your
Like,
right
Kukulkan
tower
ult didn't
has
hit
been
until like
destroyed.
600 HP. Something just bursted it super fast.
The heat bears down upon you.
Okay.
Suppose I'll just... I mean, we're walking up pretty far here. We're not exactly able to fight back.
Is no one gonna fucking help, brother?
If only I could.
Forget it, we don't have damage.
The heat bears down upon you. Bathe in the glow.
Your right phoenix is under attack. An ally has been slain.
Bathe in the glow.
Your right phoenix is under attack. Your titan is under attack.
It is what it is.
Your right phoenix is under attack. Your left tower is under attack.
Defeat.
It definitely still would have been hard, but if I was able to play this game, there were so many times I think I could have killed someone, but I just can't fucking hit anything. But also should not pick Ra into Fenrir. I'm just kind of asking to die. Well, Ra, I don't really agree with it anymore after the change to his 2. You can easily, very, very easily pump out a lot of damage with the 2, because it scales so hard now after they changed it. And like, sure, the ult is still unreliable, but the 1 and the 2 are gonna they're gonna kill stuff so easily now. But That was such a boring game to actually play with so much lag. Yeah, I was lagging like crazy this game. It was super unfun. My lane should have been so easy to win because Vulcan was somewhat like he was way too aggressive for what he was doing. But I just couldn't punish it. Yeah, I mean the one is easy to dodge, but it also chunks. So even so, Smite 2 should be 4v4 fuck junglers. It could be interesting to try. A bit too late now though. I think it does travel slow, but how can I put it? I don't know. I guess it is. I do agree with you. It is unreliable, but I don't think it's bad. And I do think one of Ra's strengths is that he's kind of a good melee mage in a sense. Like obviously he's got the snipe and the one that do have pretty good range, but he can fuck you up so fast up front. A jungler shouldn't just go on him unless they have easy way to get, like an easy way to just kill him fast, which most junglers do. I'm aware of that, I guess, but I do think in comp, if we're talking strictly like competitive, I do think Ra is pretty bad. He's just too easy to go on and kill. Sometimes Moex. You see the Anubis I met, well, which turned out to be Felly, I didn't know, but Rust Enjoyer, I believe he is called on that ult. If you meet a good player, Anubis is pretty hard to kind of win with, I think, because he's still pretty easy to deal with. If you give me Chuck into Anubis, he's not gonna have a good time. I have to be careful myself in that matchup as well, though. But some matchups are really hard for Anubis in solo. And if you find a hard matchup in solo for Anubis, I feel like it's so unfun. What I find crazy is that a Yen with no blink and Lifebinder can show up in red. My fan just says nah. I mean, the problem was the Finra was so fed. Like, I want to put anything on Thana. He played this really well. Just every side lane got completely shit on because we have absolutely terrible combo to a Fenrir. We can't stop his brutalize at all. The two characters that can die the least, you can see it on on the scoreboard. Fenrir was just a god that absolutely shits on our comp. We get Thana fed as well. He did try, but we also can't fully only rely on him. Like, as I said already, I would have won my lane pretty hard if I wasn't lagging. And then I could have helped out a bit more as well. In that last team fight, I could have easily gone in with you. Problem is, I don't trust myself to hit anything. And I did try to hit stuff, I just fucking missed it all, because it's borderline impossible playing Ra as well as having high ping. It's horrible. So it was fine for me. Yeah, I mean, it's probably just where it was located for me. It's probably just too far away. It's not that the server itself was like shitting itself. Like the server is probably just fine for most people. It just wasn't for me. I don't know why, but it happens pretty often in Smite 2. A lot more often than it did in Smite 1. Like, it's just Smite. And I mean, I said it before as well, but the closest I've been to quitting Smite 2 was when I kept getting these bad servers. It's so unfun. I hate it. Very few things will actually just piss me the fuck off. Lag is one of them. So yeah, I do apologize for my excessive whining about the lag, but I hate it real much. What is this 5-minute queue? Oh, there it is. Yeah, I mean, it goes for all games. Like, playing with lag is never fun. Especially when you're playing like an action game that is quite reactionary, like something like Smite. Where you gotta react fast, otherwise you're, you know, possibly dead. So, yeah. It just sucks. Like, my beam was lagging. That's how bad that one was. My beam was lagging. I just wish you could somehow turn off the bad servers. Like, don't throw me in one of the bad ones. Let me just take it off. I don't give a shit if I have to wait 10 more minutes. I don't want to end up in a server where it feels like I have 150 ping. It's horrible, and it's really bad for the game too. Like, no one's gonna have fun like that. And a new player won't even understand it. Like, if you get a bad server on your first game, people are just gonna say that it feels bad and they don't want to play it again. It's just an overall bad situation. What do I even play? I don't know, man. I don't want to deal with Fenrir again. I'm playing this shit. I don't really like playing it. I just don't want to deal with it again. I need a third ban. Give it to me. I need it. I don't want to deal with Fenrir anymore. Actually, no. Just give me Atio. There we go. Give me Atio. Problem solved. Not even Vamana could save me from this problem. Fenrir is unironically one of the few things that is also incredibly, incredibly good into Vamana. Still though, I would rather play Vamana, I think, than Ra, I think, into Fenrir. Though in reality I should have just gone tanky, just to survive it. Survive till the late game. Then change the build if it comes to it. But at least I'm not against Nate this game. Always a plus. Going against Nate is so much fun. I like having Nate on my team. I don't want to be against him. I have some dodge so I can get in. Looks pretty locked in, unfortunately. I kind of want someone to dodge as well because I don't want to play Fenrir. It's not bad here though. It's going to be really, really unfun into Hades for a little while, but I mean, it's nice against Thor, it's nice into Neith. It's pretty decent into Kukulkan, I suppose, as long as you're ready to take some hits and some wind. In-houses should be better than ranked, let's be real here. Usually in-houses are filled with people with hands. Oh, I gotta go beats. Do I do Golden Blade? I guess so. Is that the Golden Blade of Braggus Harp to start with? I'll do Golden Blade. Miss Grimm's, yeah. I miss it sometimes. It's funny. I feel like I've been in a lot of games with Reese. Like, I miss parts of scrimming, but for the most part, I'm just not really interested in competitive anymore, I think. Because when a new game, a different game comes out, like at the end of the month, Monster Hunter Wilds comes out. When that comes out, I don't want to think about playing Smite. I want to play Monster Hunter Wilds. I don't want to be locked to a single game. Like, fuck that. Are you solo? Yes, you are. Ow.
Minions have spawned.
That is unfortunate indeed.
Well, this will be much easier than I originally had thought. Yes. Great. Good job, me. Way to fucking go, man. I'm making this so much fucking easier for myself. What a great fucking start. That's fine. As long as she groups with me here. Alright, that's fine. Land. Let's start the game by missing Brutalize. I'm gonna eat my words for saying Fenrir is a brain dead, easy to play god from last game.
That is unfortunate.
Give me level 2! Aw, man.
Enemy missing middle. Enemy missing middle. Be careful right.
It's gonna be a very easy matchup.
Stand your ground. I challenge you.
There's gonna be a problem later, though. As always. Assuming he's going full damage.
Be careful. Enemy missing
But he's gonna have a real bad time if he does.
middle.
Throughout most of the laning phase.
Retreat!
Turn and fight.
Gank left lane!
Enemies have returned to base.
Soldiers, turn and fight.
Oh! No! Okay, dude. I should have checked, man. She had fucking beats. Of course she has fucking beats.
No problem.
No! I'm eating my words tonight. What an easy lane this is gonna be. Fucking suck, it's soloed.
Your middle tower
I think she
is
needs
under
to thank the tower
attack.
for that,
Your
though.
right tower is under attack.
Maybe I should use my own beats. Maybe that would have been a fucking good idea. Fucking forgot I hate beats. What a time to be alive, eh?
Turn and fight.
What? it's Hades here! Why? Dude, fuck you, Vexel. Why are you here? It's not 5 at least. Otherwise I've been cooked. Well, Vexel did say last game that he considered camping me, so here we go, I guess. I can see the tent already. You can smell the grill. He's getting ready.
Be careful.
Your middle tower is under attack.
You wanna follow me? Please follow me. Then it kind of ruined my plan of taking these on the way back, but
Ultimate is ready.
we're focusing way too fucking hard on this Athena, man. Her beast should still be down though.
Enemy missing. Enemy missing.
Turn and fight.
That scythe did no damage. And he, oh my god, this is not looking too good.
Yes. Apologies.
Oh no, dude! Stop! Leave me alone! I just want to kill minions. Please. It's going all wrong! I can't play the game tonight! I'm pressing the wrong shit!
Okay.
Also, where is everyone? Why are these guys still running around with no fucking HP? Oh my... Oh, no.
It's time to turn this battle in our favor.
Guys, they are still here. Alright, I'm back in. I'm about back in, I'm fucking dead.
Your left tower.
I'm not mad, by the way, guys.
My way.
I challenge you.
I'm slightly triggered. I don't know if you guys can tell. I'm having a day.
Enemy missing middle. Enemy missing right.
You know what? I'll say it. It's still worth it for me. They stayed here for so long. They didn't even take my blue. But my subbing is leeching my blue buff, which kind of sucks. But I'm warding now. I will have my revenge. That's all I'm saying. I'm still ahead of Athena. I see this as an absolute win. Where's my opponent?
Be careful right.
Dude, Thana needs to stop taking my fucking camps here. It is the enemy's camps, but she's not taking them.
That was quite impressive. An enemy.
I need her to use her shit
Missing middle.
so I can heal in peace.
Turn and fight.
Attack the gold fury. On my way. Sorry.
We're still winning, guys. Don't worry about it. I'm just intentionally giving them a false sense of security.
Be careful.
This is called strategy.
Your team has destroyed the gold fury. Slain an enemy.
It's strategy.
Can fail.
been slain. The Pyromancer has arrived. Your middle tower is under attack.
I'm going for it. This tower's going down. Tower's not going down. I was kidding.
Your left tower is under attack.
On my way.
Let's just Gunkins first. But whatever.
Follow me.
I mean, it's still pretty disgusting damage considering I don't have a finished item yet.
Attack the fire giant.
Finn has ganked me 2 times in 2 minutes. Classic Fenrir. He will do that, except if he is solo, then he will not. Then he will die to the tower like an idiot.
Retreat.
Why are you going this way?
Slain an enemy. An ally has been slain. An enemy has been slain.
No kill for me, I guess. Whatever, I'm backing. I got my TP.
Your left tower is under attack. Your middle tower is under attack.
Maybe I can yoink a little one here as well.
Killing spree.
Plan can
Your left
fail.
tower is under attack. Killing spree.
Be careful, right? Enemies incoming.
Surely that's how it goes down this time.
Your team has destroyed a left enemy tower.
Finally.
Completed.
Gank left lane. Set up an ambush here.
I challenge you.
No! Kill him! Alright, it's fine. We got him.
Your right tower is under attack.
I'll take the trade.
Has been slain.
I am pretty squishy at this point. I gotta get some protection.
Attack.
Me.
An enemy.
They also just stuck around.
Double kill.
Attack the fire
Can
giant.
fail.
Rampage.
I guess they can't.
Your right tower is under attack. Your right tower is destroyed. Your team has destroyed the Pyromancer.
Follow me.
This is optimistic, boys. You cannot tank this, any of you. Poseidon is dead. Dude, get out! He's dead! No, he's. How is he alive? Wait a second. How?
Your team has destroyed the fire giant.
Alright, I'm surprised. How the fuck? Tell it. What secrets does he have? How did he survive that? He was in the middle of the room with no HP. Yeah, Uller is fed. I mean, looking at this is also not great. Actually, she does have the aspect, I guess. I keep forgetting the aspect underneath. I don't see it very often. He blinked. He could have blinked, actually, yeah. He did. I guess he blinked over the wall then. At the fire giant pit. Dash?
Soldiers assemble. Turn and fight.
Oh, that lasted long.
An enemy has been slain.
Who doesn't have beats? Just Hades. What? He yoinked? I am. What a good boy I am. I caught that midair. I'd be the best dog.
Destroyed a middle enemy tower.
Alright, I see you, Mugs. Have a good one, man. And good to see you as always.
An ally has been slain. Your team has destroyed a middle enemy phoenix.
My cracked Uller died to the Phoenix with dagger. That's funny.
Power of the surging tide. Attack!
I don't have any cooldowns just yet. I
Your
missed.
right tower is under attack.
Scrap Berserkers. I'll just go for an auto attack build.
The pyromancer has arrived.
I am top damage.
Your middle tower
That
is
means a
under
lot
attack.
coming from solo. Not like with Slapfest, I think that's the only thing.
Your middle tower is under attack.
It's time to turn this battle
An
in
enemy
our
has been
favor.
slain.
Enemy ultimate down.
An enemy has been slain. Your left tower is under attack.
Man, look at this. I'm not even gonna get the assist.
Hey,
Oh, I did. Never mind. I guess I can thank Redbuff for that. But I thought I was long gone from that.
your team has destroyed the pyromancer.
I feel like I've been useless this game. I'm just slapping Athena. That's all I've done.
Your left tower is under attack. Your team has destroyed a left enemy tower.
What?
An enemy has been slain. Killing spree.
I'm really trying to actually just get a kill here.
Apologies.
What a heal. Yeah, this is something. Some people are just too high, I guess. Well, either that or some people boosted.
Glorious! That was quite impressive.
Didn't expect an army, but okay. I mean, what do I even go for my last item? Probably just Void Shield or something like that.
Your team has destroyed the Gold Fury.
Yeah, I thought I heard in the back. I heard the assemble, and they all just fucking appeared.
The Pyromancer has arrived. Your left tower is under
Actually, maybe did they all TP? That would be weird. Why would they do that?
Be right back.
But also, why are we all in right? They could actually just do fire.
Your left tower is under attack.
I'll save gold for my starter now. I gotta start taking this game a bit more serious. I've been out of it for a little too long in this game. I can kill their carries very easily. Well, anyone, I guess. I'm pretty sure I can kill anyone. The scariest one for me is Kukulkan. It's kind of hard for me to brutalize him without taking a tornado and a potential ult to the face.
Your team has destroyed the fire giant.
I'm doing something, guys. It's not much, but I'm still at something.
Tower is under attack.
Ah, this is so sloppy. This is so sloppy. Let's just fucking go in. Do this shit. I'm actually just pressing my button here. I'm literally. Is normal cast glitched? Maybe that's what happened early in the game as well. That's what I thought. What I thought happened, but I thought it was just being stupid. Sometimes I literally cannot press my normal cast abilities. I don't think I've ever tried that before. I'm not crazy. Finally. Confirmation.
Let me tank, I got dagger.
Fucking tank it for dagger, man. What a weird fucking game. I didn't do anything this game.
Victory.
Ugh. But that was weird. I really hope that doesn't happen again. I guess I actually did something. But still did pretty decent damage. But that's so weird. Why couldn't I press my ability? Yeah, we'll see if we get a big bug game. It feels like right now, though, with the current matchmaking, that it just rarely happens. I have the silences. Yeah, but you weren't on me at the time. Like, I was just tanking the Phoenix. And I think you were, maybe you were, like, I obviously didn't look behind, but I'm pretty sure you weren't. Because I could just, I swapped to Brutalize and that was fine. It's just my specific normal cast ability did not want to go off. It might have been a glitch because of all the silences eventually at a certain point in the game, but... Such a good game by me. Yeah. I wouldn't know. All I did was hitting an Athena that whole game. And then you guys very rudely decided to swarm me at times. Alright, I actually want to get a pretty good game in here, so let's see. I also don't want to fully try hard, so no Hades, no Chalk, probably. Oh, Fenrir, though. Nasty. Maybe I just pull out the Hercules. Hmm. Thinking. There just isn't a whole lot of fun solos at the moment that are good at dealing with Fenrir. But you know what? Maybe we do the Poseidon with the old build. And just make sure that he's never allowed to brutalize me. No, I'm doing Geb. Haven't done Geb in a while, and I actually have teammates I can trust, so I'll do the Geb. And if I like the Ares, that would be good specifically into Fenrir, that is true. I'm a little afraid of what I would be against, though. I actually do think Ares is fun to play, I just hate his clear so much. I would have to go for a Mystical Mail or some shit to have any clear. And even then it still sucks. I really do wish he had some better clear, because he's a fun god. His clear's good with Bluestone. I mean, the thing is, when you say good, what do you mean? Because I don't think it's good no matter what you do with him. My problem isn't his wave clear. It's that his cooldowns are also so long that you can't do the camps afterwards. The problem with Ares, just I guess a lot of the Guardians suffer from this problem as well, like Gep. You just can't go from camp to camp and clear stuff as fast as something like Chalk or, you know, whatever, right? I think Ares is... I mean, he is bad, let's be real, but Ares would be really good if his ult wasn't as weird as it is in Smite 2. There's just too much shit that counters it. It just needs to work the same way as it in Smite 1, and then he's going to be really good again. Because I actually think he is really good. The rest of his abilities are super good in Smite 2. And he's, at the moment, one of the only gods that can actually utilize Cripple really well. I'm assuming against Hades. Well, that's fine. I don't really mind it as skip. That much, at least. What I do mind is Fenrir.
Strike one was waking up. Strike two was joining this fight. Strike three, picking my lane.
I kind of want Sunder to be more aggressive. Kind of need beats for the Fenrir/Hades. I want to try Sunder. I don't think I've done that before. Yeah. Yeah, not a whole lot of you guys in this game, and we now have Invincible on his Fenrir again. It might be a clinic in here. We do have impact on the Hercules though, which is a nice one. Yeah, I trust you guys to carry me on this one.
Minions have spawned.
I do apologize. I did say I was gonna try hard. I don't think this counts. Oh, I think it's Morgan. He missed the creep. I'm just gonna go for the blue straight up here. Just because it's under.
Okay.
I am sorry.
Why my autos lag? Dude, my auto's fucking lagging? There's no fucking way. What the fuck? Dude, what the fuck? Why are my autos lagging? I'm actually just fucking dead. There's no way. Well, color me tilted. Cause what the fuck? Why did my autos lag? Iris, I'm so pissed.
An ally has been slain.
And now I get more Ariana Grande songs. Great.
The just prevail.
Fantastic.
An ally has been slain.
It's cooked, boys.
Your middle tower is under attack.
It's absolutely in the shitter. Yeah, Moira doing that path is very strange. That's also why I just sundered early, because I was like, I don't want to take more damage. Like, literally no one does that shit. She also somehow got my blue? Dude, no. You're telling me she must have had jungle help. You're telling me she did my wave into my blue buff and then to her own blue buff in the time that I couldn't do a single blue buff? There's no fucking way that happened.
Your right tower is under attack.
For all the things to meet, my fucking Morgan. Give me Hades.
Okay.
An ally has been slain. You have been slain.
Fantastic.
Sure.
Your middle
I
tower
mean,
is under attack.
they just started the game better.
Glad I went off. Why am I
Now
still
it
here?
is.
I am here just to suffer. Why the fuck did I go Gep?
Out of the park.
Your left tower is under attack.
Well, honestly, why did I go Sunder? I think that's the bigger question here. And why the fuck is there a Hades here?
Okay.
Argonaut, Sunder.
Killing spree.
Yeah, I think this one is a 10 minutes render, boys.
Yeah, I mean, no, I don't want to point fingers, but I mean, like,
Your
Yeah.
right tower is under attack.
I'm not going to.
Do I really need to try hard to have just a normal game? Do I need to play Fenrir, Chaken, Hades, or Morgan every game? I don't want to. I just hit level 5 as well. That fucking sucks, man. That was legitimately a kill right there if I had 5.
Enemy spotted.
Have fun out there.
Oh well.
Your middle tower is under attack.
There's also a Hades here. Oh, it's Marto. I see how it is. I'm guessing there's some stream sniping happening then. Interesting.
You're that scared, son. Seriously.
An enemy has been slain.
As cunning as a fox.
We'll be streaming the patch tomorrow, probably.
Your right tower is under attack.
Actually, the Morgan might be his best friend then. Wouldn't actually be surprised. That would make sense. For the people that don't remember Marto, he was a lobby crasher in Smite 1. And I'm guessing he's not able to do it in Smite 2.
He's coming. We're gonna die, but just fuck it.
An ally has
Enemy
been slain.
ultimate down.
Your left tower is under attack.
Oh, it's dead.
Dude. Not even my...
There's no way. There's no way. There's Anubis. Oh my god, just blinked as well for no reason.
He's doing fine, man.
Yeah, true.
That was easy to convince him. I guess I'll just go Mystical Mail. Whatever. Doesn't matter. I have seen Marto in a few games, actually. Even on my team, too. Like, I don't mind them at all, for the most part. I have nothing personal against these guys, Marto and his best friend or whatever. I just don't understand the lobby crashing aspect that they've been doing. It's like they play to ruin everyone else's experience. That's kind of just the definition of an asshole, if you ask me. Why couldn't people just be friends? That's the big question. Why do we need to be enemies? Yeah, so far I haven't seen lobby crashing, so I assume they can't do it. What they can do is stream snipe though, so, which is what has been happening so far in this one.
Your left tower is under attack.
Enemy missing. Be careful.
Oh well.
I actually played that pretty decently. Get him! No. That's good.
Enemy ultimate down.
He's still dead. Maybe. I still think he's dead.
An ally has
That stuff right there is what's gonna happen. Oh yeah, actually, never mind. There is a reporting thing for stream sniping now. So actually, let's do that. It's pretty blatant too, so... Stream sniping.
Enemy
Boom.
missing left.
There we go.
Your middle tower is under attack.
You're on your own, buddy.
Okay. Okay.
If only he knew what's been going on in this lane. Probably could have killed though if I followed.
Cancel them.
Dang.
Enemy missing. Okay.
An ally has been slain. Killing spree.
The pyro.
Maybe we just leave it to Lycan. Maybe Lycan can carry us.
Well, that sucked.
Killing spree. Your left tower is under attack. Your right tower is under attack.
Please.
Your right tower is under attack.
Bottom actually needs it back.
Enemy missing.
An ally has been slain.
Thanks.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Okay.
Double kill. Rampage. Killing spree.
Why didn't we surrender, boys? We don't have a chance here.
Your right tower is under attack.
It's gonna be a long game.
Sure.
Probably the last game too, because it's getting late.
No.
Your right tower is under attack.
Enemy missing. Savor these moments.
Your middle tower is under attack. Your right tower is under attack.
Enemies at the Gold Fury.
Defend.
Cancel that.
The enemy team has destroyed the Gold Fury.
Forget it.
I don't even get back camps anymore.
Enemies incoming.
Your left tower is under attack. Your middle tower is under attack. Your left tower is under attack.
No, I did pretty decent damage.
Well,
There was some third person there too.
He's back again.
I couldn't get my ult off. That was a long range
Is
bite.
it the Hades that's sniping?
Him and the Morgan, yeah. I mean, it's Marto. He's a lobby crasher from Smite 1, so he's been doing this shit for a long time.
Is under attack.
That's good fun. Oh wait, spend your days.
What was I even trying to build with this?
Your right tower is under attack.
Well, I guess I can go for
An enemy
Stampede.
has been slain. Enemies incoming. Enemies incoming.
hey,
Behind us! Gank!
thanks.
Your left tower is under attack. Your right tower is under attack.
Dash down.
Enemy missing! Right!
My god, they're on my back camps again.
Yeah, he probably needs a ward actually. Can stop it a little bit if you ward.
No. No. Completed. Thanks.
Thanks. Yeah, buddy.
Gank!
Fenrir's here. Get out. Get out.
Your middle tower
Oh my
is under
goodness.
attack.
Okay.
An ally has been slain.
Thanks.
Brother, I've literally told you. It's not your,
left
not my
tower
fault.
is under attack. Your left tower has been destroyed. Your middle tower is under attack. You have slain an enemy.
Cancel that. Chase the enemy!
Shut down. Shut down.
You will never be
No.
Have a pluck and two.
Cancel that.
Oh bro, I thought that was enough.
Um,
An ally has been slain. Your middle tower is under attack.
I think at this point there probably would have been a chance if Chuck and CERN weren't, I guess, as confused as they seem to have been so far.
See ya.
Goodbye.
I got a lot in that fight. I actually know what I want for this game. Actually, probably Stone of Binding. Got some pretty easy CC. I have so many actives, I usually don't have this many.
The enemy team has destroyed the Pyromancer. Killing spree.
Do we defend this? No.
Might as well try.
Be careful! Enemy missing! On my way!
Enemy team has destroyed the fire station.
Yeah, it's tough. I just got fin rolled instantly.
Yeah, I know. To be honest, I was quite happy you did all you. But it's just a shame that we had
I'll attack left
nothing
lane,
else.
right.
Still worth a shot, I think.
I did think the Anubis was going to all in with the ult and try and steal it, but it's a shame.
Yeah, I mean, I had Sunder. It just sucks that I got ult.
Yeah.
Your right tower is under attack. Your middle tower is under attack. Your middle tower has been destroyed. Your right tower has been destroyed.
What is Chuck even building? Oh no, dude. My support Chuck built this?
Right jungle!
Your middle
Yoy.
tower is under attack.
Yeesh.
Your middle tower has been destroyed.
I wish I had Blink. I cannot ever use my one to go in. I'm just gonna instantly gonna get Hazeled. Zero chance.
Enemies in left lane!
Thanks.
Yeah, please. Let's get the fuck out. Finally. My god.
What give this time? Like, why did it take 5 tries?
Your middle Phoenix.
Defeat.
I will do one last, but that's gonna be it for me. I'm just not gonna pick something shit like Gep this time. I gotta pick something where I can actually fight back. I guess I will do one try-hard game in some fashion. We'll see, I guess. I'm not sure I actually feel like try-harding that much. I just want to play something where I can actually deal some damage. I just don't know what. I'm definitely fatigued on the current gods. I'll probably stream a little bit of the patch tomorrow, but I don't know. I might reach a point where I'm gonna probably take a small break from Smite, unless like the patch tomorrow is really fun. Because I am, as I just said, really fatigued on the current gods. It's either that or I find some new spice. I do enjoy Kukulkan and stuff like that, but if I go Kukulkan into a good player, I'm just gonna get cooked. Well, mostly it's a jungler, I think. The jungler decides whether I'm supposed to play the game or not on a pick like that. If only tanks were a bit better. I would like to play more Mulan, but she's ass. It's been long enough for Odin as well. I could use some Odin. Actually, don't even know how it's been today. It's been alright, I guess. When did I begin? I've been playing a lot of rank today. Bologna, I guess, was the first one I did. This was off stream though. What did I do on stream? I forgot. Was it the Kukulkan game? I think so. No, it must have been the Morgan game. Or is it? Dude, I forgot. Was it Anubis? If it was the Anubis, then it's been 33 since the stream started. And I mean, I've risen a little bit. I just gotta play a bit more serious in my games. Would make it a bit easier to win. Can you play Susano game? Probably not. Susano is terrible, especially as a solo laner. He is just really bad. I would have a hard time trying to carry with it. And right now I need to carry with something. Or at least just have something where I can deal damage. Unfortunately, Susano is a bit rough to pull off at the moment. Some good junglers can definitely still play him at a high level, but he is mainly a jungler, if anything, at the moment. He's absolutely horrendous as a solo laner, at least. He's got pretty bad wave clear, as well as not great building hybrid. He needs to kind of go full damage to do anything. You don't have a sniper, okay. I mean, at this point, it doesn't even matter to me. Like, it's better than what happened in Smite 1, you know? Drop the top pick for you? You can see that, right? Oh, you mean, interesting, yeah. I mean, that makes sense. He plays a lot of Anubis. That's kind of all I've seen him play at the moment. I just don't know what to play. I'm not feeling the passion for any of these gods. I'll do some Sobek. It's been a while and it's decent here. At least into the Anubis. Let's see. What do I want to play then? Let's get Mordred. Get a Mordred game in. Your Ares solo. But I mean, that wouldn't be good if I was so big either, though. I'm gonna out clear you and out heal you. You can definitely like potentially kill me early with some chains, but this isn't that bad of a matchup for you though. I don't want to tell you why, just in case. But Mordred kind of does a very specific thing. If he's not allowed to do that, you might actually win the matchup. But no. I'm not saying it's a good matchup for you. I'm just saying it could be worse. Could I find the bully me? Yeah, have fun. I can't promise the bullying though. We'll see what happens. Let's see. Are you really gonna force me into beats though? It's kind of nasty. What am I even building into you? You kind of fucked me, I'm not gonna lie. Like, why would you do this? Like, I'm gonna have to go magic defense into you first. That's terrible. Good luck both and have fun. Thank you. That is very kind of you to say. Oh no, I don't like the lag on that dash. This surely is not a bad server again. I can't really tell until I use abilities and hit stuff. But that wasn't a good sign. Okay, that wasn't as bad. Don't give me a bad server again. I don't need lobby crashers, the servers are doing it themselves. Might be a problem with the ISP. Maybe. It's just it happens rarely since the last patch, or since it went open beta. But it still does happen at, like, sometimes, and it still happened in Smite 1 too. It was just so rare.
Minions
It was like 1 in 20 games maybe. Like I would have a bad one. In Smite 2 it's been more like, you know, 1 in 5 type thing. It is a bad server for me. No. Oh man. Boombas. Boombas.
Okay.
Oh, man. Like, the thing is, for the people that have seen my stream, for the longest time, like multiple streams in a row, there hasn't been a single bad server. But suddenly today, it just feels like shit for some reason. This is not going to be a fun game. Mordred constant dashing with lag is not going to feel good. It's okay, he doesn't know. Oh, why though? Why me? Yeah, that's fair, Nate. I get it. I've been there for a while. I keep going in and out of it. I'm glad you're learning a lot from watching me play. I'm always glad to help. I also don't mind people asking questions and stuff. That's completely fine with me.
An enemy has been slain.
I can't believe I didn't get that kill. Mordred 3 really does suck. I was still crippled, man. I still couldn't dash for a little period of time, and even if I could, I'm not sure the lag would have let me. That's unfortunate. I think that should have been a better trade than it was. I could have beats though, that is actually something I could have done.
Your right
But I don't know,
tower is
beating
under
and
attack.
not knowing if I live might not be worth it either. The thing is, I know for me, in my case, I will get us a break from Smite in not too long when Monster Hunter Wilds comes out. Then I will take a proper break from Smite for obviously not long. I'll still be playing the game a bit here and there. I just won't be streaming it as much because I feel like I only want to stream when I know I'm gonna sit down to do a longer session. Like I have no reason to stream if I know I'm only gonna play for an hour.
Enemy missing. Set up an ambush here.
Just hit the way while we're at it.
Enemy spotted.
On my way.
I guess I'll just do Gargoyle. It's pretty good into Ares as well. This will help a lot though, just having Lifebinder.
Enemy ultimate down.
Athena ult.
Defend.
So always a playable worst role. That's how I feel about jungle. Dude, I am just lagging my ass off.
Noob speeds.
I really hope we just stomp, because I think I'm done for tonight. Mordred is so much fun, but it's just delayed. Everything is so delayed. I'm sure you can see it a bit on stream too when I dash. Like sometimes it feels alright, and then like in the fight versus Loki and Ares there, it felt terrible. It is really strange. I don't really get it.
slain. Scent of blood.
Enemy missing.
But maybe this one is like the other game where it got better the further in we got. For some reason the lag isn't as bad like right now. I do feel it a little bit though.
Good deal.
Yes.
Okay.
I sense your fear.
Dude, I did not. Okay.
Enemies in right lane.
I'm not sure you guys saw that. Obviously, you don't know when I pressed my beats, but I pressed my beats before I taunted, and then when I was inside the taunt, it went off. I don't know why that actually scared me. He doesn't have an ult.
Your right tower is under attack. Enemy ultimate down. Your right tower is under attack. Killing spree on me.
Well done.
Another day will
Scent of blood. The sword, the shield, the chain. I shall fire. An enemy has been slain. My blade. Follow me. Scent of blood. Killing spree. I will hunt you down. Okay.
I can't believe that one. I'm like, I just missed.
cancel that. Attack.
My blade.
Oh, I remember this song. This song's awesome.
Destroyed the
Holy
gold
fuck, I've heard
turret.
this shit in so long. Damn, I haven't heard probably will have since such a long time. This playlist is a nostalgia trip for me.
An ally has been slain. An enemy has been slain. Double kill. You are surprisingly capable. I sense your fear.
Keep winning, team. I just want to get out of this one. The lag is not making this an enjoyable experience. I backed. I wonder if I can even land an ult. What happens with my ult when I'm lagging? I'm just gonna go through someone. Yeah, I mean, I'm never killing areas with that build.
Your team has destroyed the pyramid. Run, death.
Tanking it, boys. You go for it. Oh, he's fucking out. I don't believe it. That plug actually saved his ass.
Enemy ultimate. I will find you down. Shut down.
No! Dude, the lag! You see, it went off! It went off, but it didn't go off! I was baited! The lag! I can't take it anymore.
Your right tower is under
I'm sad.
attack.
Yeah, Music of the Day is a great fucking song. I just know it's Robbie Williams that sings it. He's got a nostalgic voice for me, his singing voice. My dad
Enemy spotted.
loved Robin Williams.
Your left tower is under attack. Your right tower is under attack.
So I feel like he's one of like his song voice, even though I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of him. Because my dad listened to it so much, I just always recognize his voice no matter what. It's just ingrained into me.
Your left tower is under attack. Shut down. Enemy ultimate down.
When I died, was my life binder up? Was I an idiot? Could I have just saved myself with that?
Enemy missing right. Enemy missing middle.
An ally has been slain. Enemies at the goal.
Another day will rise.
The enemy team has destroyed the Gold Fury. Your left tower is under attack. Shut down. The fire giant. The fire giant. Your middle tower is under attack. Enemy spotted. Your left tower is under attack. Be careful, right. Scent of blood.
Wherever there are gods
No, I didn't hit Athena.
Your middle tower is under attack. Your left tower.
This is not really a good fight for us, boys. We're kind of undermanned for this fight, my boys.
An ally has been slain.
We played that so well, I feel like. It's just that we're a 3v4. Man. So what's happening in left? Jingwei is...
Your left tower.
Oh, not Jingwei. This guy. He was our top elo too. This guy. Though I guess I can't really blame him for getting smacked by Student Eye and Jingwei. No, never mind. He's gonna stop on. Fuck am I looking at? I can't believe in that. He actually got both. No, missed. I'm lagging too much. It's definitely the lag that time. I'll save my ult in case I need it, but I don't really think I do. This fucking Athena ult is a problem, man. Go away, Athena. Guys, there's no way they have 4 here. Okay. Never mind. I lashed out too fast. We killed them. Dude, what do we build,
I
man?
have nada. 10 seconds.
That's her beats. Damn. Well, that's Jingwei for you.
Enemies at the fire giant.
It would be nice if... I don't know. I was about to say it would be nice if you have some rotations before they have like 4 people on me, like they've done a few times at this point, but it is tough when they have Athena. It's kind of the reason why it's happening. Can't really expect Sobek to rotate as fast as Athena.
I sense your fear.
This sucks though. Jingwei is just controlling this game. How the fuck is Starporn controlling this game, guys? What is happening? No disrespect to Starporn, but no Starporn. Jesus Christ.
The enemy team has destroyed the Gold Fury.
We can't keep going for the Ares, man. Oh, well, this looks great. Here we go again. Let's just fucking repeat the same shit. Literally the only one that can actually fucking kill him is our Nuwa.
Your left tower is under attack. Your middle tower is under attack.
On my way.
Your left tower.
Enemy spotted.
Glorious power is mine for the taking.
Pretty good fight overall. I really, really fucking do wish I wasn't lagging. It would make this actually a pretty enjoyable game.
Enemy
It's pretty
spotted.
even.
Awesome. Gank! Gank!
No, man. Why? Why are we just letting the Jingwei back down there? Yeah, they weren't losing HP. Like, we need Nuwa to deal damage. Like, look at Ares' build. He's got pure physical defense. So the only 2 people that can actually kill him, I mean, obviously, eventually, Izanami will be able to, but right now it is pretty much just Nuwa. Just do an eye on that Nuwa. Like, I don't damage him, but he also doesn't damage me. Like, what even deal... I can't really tell now, but... Like, the one dealing damage to me was Anubis and the Loki a little bit. But Loki just dies eventually, because...
Enemy incoming left.
On my way.
Are they actually pushing left?
King is here.
I didn't want to TP if they were going, like, back.
Has been slain.
So I was chilling a bit.
On my way. Your middle tower is under attack.
What is?
Enemy ultimate down.
Huge! The biggest Mordred ult we could have gotten. I don't need latency for this.
Destroyed a middle enemy tower. Engine blocked. Destroyed a middle enemy tower.
Phoenix and gold.
I'm just dead to Phoenix. Yeah. Tank for too long and... That's fantastic.
Your right
We're just dead, I guess.
under attack.
How did we not kill the Loki, man? He ulted me. The fuck? Maybe that's why Isa died, going too deep with the Loki.
Your right tower is under attack.
I mean, I have to go Spectral, right? Otherwise, Jingwei's just gonna fuck up my day.
Defend your right tower is under attack. On my way.
That's a really stupid fight for us to take. We didn't even get the Phoenix, now we're just getting losing fire for free again.
Ultimate is down.
It's unfortunate.
An ally has been slain.
Who doesn't have
Your middle
beats?
tower is under
Loki.
attack.
Okay, so just the two main
Enemy
carries
team
have
has
beats.
destroyed the pyromancer.
Can't really ult them for free necessarily, and they don't have any team beats.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Defend the Gold Fury.
The enemy team has destroyed the Gold Fury.
Beats. And I'm just not able to play the game because I can't dash. Great.
Your middle tower is under attack. Your middle tower has been destroyed.
I do hate it though. Like, just like last time, if I wasn't lagging, I feel like I could make such a big impact. But I'm just not able to play the game correctly. It makes me lose confidence in what I can actually do. Because it just doesn't work out when I do it.
Your left Phoenix is under attack. Your left Phoenix has been destroyed.
Not really much to do about it. Potentially big plug.
An ally
Nope.
has been slain. Your middle Phoenix
How is that not reaching, man? I don't fucking get it.
I had Jinima.
Your middle phoenix is under attack.
Yeah, but Loki was behind shitting on everyone else.
Fair enough. It's not the one thing I've done all game, to be honest. I'm useless.
Your titan is under attack.
Okay, sure. Would we have won? I'm not sure. Like, I obviously can't carry too easily as Mordred in a game like this, but if I wasn't lagging again, my lane would have been so fucking easy. But it's so hard to play the game when the buttons don't work correctly. It is tragic. The lane was easy, yeah, but I mean, I was lagging again. But it would have been so much easier if I wasn't. So... So yeah, I mean, there's not really much else. What else to do? That's your first Nua game? Yeah, it was certainly hard for you. Nua is such an easy god to play. It is pretty crazy. But yeah, thank you guys. I really do appreciate you guys stopping by. I still had fun despite, like, you know, some of the lagging games today, but it is what it is. Thank you guys as always. I really appreciate it. And see you guys next time. Bye bye.